Hey, I'm at BEA 2013 Tizra booth. I'm going to be talking with Abe Dane, the president and COO of Tizra. Abe, what's the digital meme that Tizra is addressing?
We're all about enabling publishers to create direct connections with their readers, enabling them to distribute their content directly to their readers, and enabling them to learn more about their readers by seeing how their readers use that content and improve their presentation and their content by getting that feedback from those readers. They can do it all under their own brands. They're not just distributing it out to a bookstore and losing that connection with readers. And that's a really important thing in this digital age where people are publishers are worried about being cut out of the mix. This is an idea that a lot of people have talked about, but what we do is we make it really practical, and we enable the publishers to pursue this vision with a lot of flexibility, a lot of agility, and a lot of very, very direct control. So what I'll show you here is some sites that publishers are managing on our platform, enabling them to create that direct connection with the readers. And then I'll show you a little bit of the tools that they have for enabling them to unbundle and remix their content into the packages of content the readers really want. And set the commerce terms on them, set the pricing so they can react quickly to what they're learning in the marketplace. So what you're seeing here is just one example of a site. Everything that's done on this platform uses standard web design tools. So you can basically make the content look like anything you want it to look like. If you can do it with web design, you can do it on Tizra. So this is an example of a publisher of secondary school textbooks. They're selling individual lessons to students and parents and teachers. They're able to select certain portions of the content and turn them into free samples, as you'll see here with this preview section. This is an example of a large consumer publisher that liked using it for test marketing of their content so they could learn very quickly what their readers were looking for. They could send traffic to it using search engine marketing, make adjustments, look at the analytics, see how that affected the conversion rates, and improve how they were marketing their content. This is an example of a professional association. We're very proud of these guys because obviously this is research librarians. They're very focused on how they present their content, and they're bringing together both book content and periodical content, which is one of those things that people have talked about doing a lot but have fallen down on the implementation details. And this is a university press, Columbia University Press. They are using it to sell individual chapters of their books as well as whole books, different subscription durations, so they're selling subscription access to your books as well as just selling books as well. This is an example of a textbook publisher. We're really proud of these guys because basically they are building on the platform themselves, which just gets across the fact that everything that the tools that are needed to develop on Tizra are standard tools. It's web design, it's HTML, it's CSS, it's JavaScript. So if you have people that do that in-house, you can train them to build on the Tizra platform, and it's one more way in which you really own that connection with the readers. And they're able to take advantage of sophisticated commerce features such as redemption codes. The user can have their own private bookshelf on the site. We also do institutional access control like IP authentication, referrer-based authentication, single sign-up, all the stuff that you need to sell to libraries, to groups, to schools, and other things which can often be quite technically challenging. Another key point is that you can configure the search. For many types of professional or high-value content, search is really important. You can configure the search as these guys have done here. This is the Transportation Research Board. To match the interests of your users and the nature of your content. Since this is a very highly technical audience, they were able to configure the search to work with that audience. This is an example which gets across how much the content can be a part of your existing online web presence. So this is the first page that I've shown that's not running on Tizra, and that's a really important point. You can use whatever content management system you already have in place to manage your current site, and then integrate Tizra delivered content with that. So in this case, this is a catalog page describing some of this publisher's materials, and they're delivering a little kind of look inside the book widget, which lets people see a free sample right inside of the catalog, so people can flip through a few pages of that content. And then for people that have purchased the content, they can go to the appropriate bookshelf, their own private bookshelf, and view that content. So I'm going to click on this link here, and I've just switched over to a Tizra server. You'd never know it. It looks exactly the same, and the domain name stays the same. So as far as the user is concerned, this is just part of the LabAid's website, but now you're taking advantage of the Tizra technology for the access control and content. here's my private bookshelf that I've just logged into. Again, it just looks like this is Lab Aids functionality, even though it's delivered by Tizra. So it's really important for publishers to be able to create that consistent brand that builds trust with their audience. We let readers view the content in a variety of different ways that are really under control of the publisher. They can view it on the web through this cloud reader, which lets them flip pages really fast, lets them have a little table of contents like this, and it's a really easy to use user experience. It's totally standards-based, so you don't have to worry about do they have Flash installed, do they have a certain type of computer. Very reliable, and people can use it just like they're used to using the web. So they can bookmark pages, they can email links to their colleagues, they can cite them, they can tweet them, all that kind of stuff, because it's just part of the web. And that's a really important point for discovery too, because you can Google it, just like you can Google any other web content. If a user were to access the same page on an iPad, they'd see a version like this. This is tuned specifically for the iPad, and we're really excited about the level of iPad use we're seeing on these sites. Something like 13% of our traffic is actually iPad users. And the really exciting thing is that they're engaged with the content just as much as the desktop users. So we're seeing the same level of pages per visit, same level of durations of visits from those iPad and iPhone users. And you can see it's optimized for the iPad. It's got a table of contents that works, for that touchscreen interface, and the search interface that works for the touchscreen interface. So it's a lot like you created an app just for the Apple devices, but the content is findable in search engines like Google. So I just did a search here on some terms that are in one of the Columbia University Press books. I clicked through on that. Even though it's behind the paywall, it's still findable in Google. Here you can see different ways that you can buy this content, the individual chapter, the whole book, different durations of access, and different formats of access. So that's a quick look at some of the things we're doing on the end user side, just the tip of the iceberg. Now I'll show you some of the tools we provide for managing these sites. So these sites are all managed through a web-based control panel. So you can just access them from any place you have web access. Every control panel lets you manage a private staging area, so you can test everything out in private before you make it live. Of course, the live site, and then a private testing area, which is just for testing e-commerce. So normally what I do is I load in a PDF file to show you what it's like to work with. The bandwidth here is a little slow, so I'm not going to put you through that. I'm just going to ask you to bear with me here. I'm going to tell you this is how you load in a PDF file. When you say create new document, pick a file from your computer, and load it in just like attaching a file to an email. So pretend I just loaded this in. Once I talk too long and there I get logged out. So pretend I just loaded this file in. You can see that it's got the title and author information has been pulled in automatically. I can apply tags to this, right? There's this nice little tag picker here. I can add any other metadata fields I want to the content, so the ISBN number, the date, any other material that the publisher wants to make available. I can make that searchable just by adding, by clicking a box. I can make that included in the search. I can make the content downloadable or not, findable or not, etc. So, and then I can also work with the table of contents for this. The table of contents is just pulled in from the PDF file from bookmarks. I can make edits to it, and then I can publish it. When I publish, I can publish either to just my private staging area for test or out to live. So what's going to happen now is it's going to take this 353-page file, break it up into individual web pages, each of which can be linked, generate image files for each of them, so you don't even have to have a PDF plugin in order to do this. It'll basically work on any computer browser since about like 1994. Very basic presentation. And then I'll jump over to my staging area, and you'll see this content is now published. A little cover image generated from the first page of the PDF. There's the table of contents. There's the change that I made to the table of contents. And I can browse through this through that reader with my TOC sliding in from the side and so on. So it's very quick to do. So now I can do all kinds of things with this. I can make it available for sale, and I can put as many offers as I want on here. Say I'm going to sell it for $20. I can either sell perpetual access for that money. I can sell access between 2 dates. I can sell access for a certain number of days. So I'll say 30 days access. Then I can say how many simultaneous users can access to it. If I'm selling to a class or something like that, I could say 20 simultaneous users. And I can include or not include any supplemental materials. I can target this offer to just a certain group of people. So I can say, this is only for members, or this is only for teachers, or only for reviewers. Or I can require a coupon code to restrict access. So I can do targeted marketing to specific groups of users, make special offers available to different groups of users.
And you've set up those groups. That's easy to do.
Yep, you
Great.
can load them in bulk. Or you can integrate with your existing content management system. So there's my offer. It's for sale, and I can put as many of those as I want on there. So that's a simple sales thing example. Here's a really interesting one. This is unlike anything else you'll see. Basically, I can do the same thing with individual subsections within this book. So I can break it up into chapters or lessons, and I can sell those individually.
Wonderful.
So I could say that I can do that based on the table of content. So it's really fast to create. It's very practical, very efficient. So I can say, take all my level 2 headings in my table of contents or all my level 1 headings, create excerpts, and now each section within this book is separately manageable. It can have its own access control rules, and it can be treated like a separate document.
So you can sell standalone content.
Yes.
As pieces of a book, or
just an article out of a periodical, just a chapter out of a book, just a lesson.
Can they decide only these chapters are standalone in this book?
Yeah.
Great.
So they can pick each one. So here I just published them, and now you can see that each of these is available as a download.
Wonderful.
Okay. Then I can put different purchase terms on each section. So say I want to. A lot of times people will make the first section available free, so people can kind of get a taste. Front mat or whatever. There, I just did that. Right? That
Wonderful.
First section available free. Now I'm going to price the other sections, and I do that just like I did the whole document. So I'm going to create an offer on it. Say I'm going to sell each chapter for $2. Save and publish that. And that's available for sale now. And I can copy that offer, so I don't have to do that every single time on each one of them. Copy it across multiple subsections, and I can do this across books even, so I can be really on a large scale. Right there, I just made all the level 1 headings into separately sellable sections.
Great.
So the last thing I'll show you is bundling.
Okay.
You want to see how you can create groupings. So say you want to create a special package. I can just pick a bunch of excerpts from various different books here. Tell the system I want to create a special package here, and then I'll use the super tag, which lets me make batch updates to any metadata field. I'll just create a special tag, special 2, just a special 1. And update fields, I'm going to add that value to all those items that I selected, republish them, and create a package here. So I'll do the really special collection just for you. And that would include all of the excerpts that have the tag special. Here are all those items. Publish that. You can see that in a little list on the home page if you want to. Right? There's the really special collection just for you. Now I could sell that just like I sold all the other things. I could apply offers to it, multiple offers to it. Anytime somebody tried to access a page within any of those items, they'd automatically be offered the option to buy that. It's a quick run through. I haven't shown you. Last thing I'll show you is very quickly the design tools.
Before you get to that, I just want to say that I thought that was particularly interesting because that's, if you had short stories or something, you could just anthologize them in various ways. You have content, you making anthologies, repackaging your content.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And I think one of the things that people are really thinking about now is how to create content streams from lots of different types of content, so not being locked into, was this in a magazine, was this in a journal, was this in a book, was this a lesson? I want to create a topic-based stream for people that are interested in something.
Exactly.
So you can basically create those, you can put RSS feeds on them so people can subscribe to
It's really exciting. Yeah. And you've made it very easy to do that. I mean, just watching you do that in a few seconds. That's great.
Yeah. So the last thing I'll show you is the design tools. And this is all about creating that recognizable face to your audience, right? Design and branding is just so important in establishing that connection. And again, you just use standard web design tools to do that. So you have control over the CSS, which controls basically the look of have control of the page markup, which is the HTML and so on that makes up a web page through this drag and drop editor, which lets you mix together your own code with code that's generated by Tizra, so you're not locked into Tizra. You can use your own web design tools.
Wonderful.
So you can do things like, say, I want to rearrange my home page a little bit. I want to the subject collection list up above the search list. Drag that search box out, move that collection list up, move that search box down, and there's that change, right? And you can do that with all kinds of things. You can create global headers, global footers, edit those. You can even just completely reskin a site. So here I'll just show you an example using a design that we did for another customer in the past. I'll apply a different skin to the site. Now the site is Rhode Island Economic Development Corporation. A little plug for our home state.
Great. Abe, thank you so much for talking with us.
Pleasure.
That was an excellent demo.
Well, thank you.